guys, and welcome back to our weekly vlog. This week we're going to be talking about being intentional and paying attention to what you're doing during the day. So much of what the 7-minute life is about just making conscious choices of what you're going to do. And so being intentional and paying attention and making conscious decisions are really important. And where does the 7-minute life thing come from? Well, there are 24 hours in the day, which is 1,440 minutes. And we just ask people to take 1% of that time, 1% of their day, which is 14 minutes. 14 minutes a day to think and to plan and to, what am I going to be intentional about doing? What is my goal for tomorrow? And how am I going to get that accomplished? And so being intentional with 14 minutes, well, how do you do that? Well, the 7-minute life comes from the fact that if you just take 7 minutes in the evening and 7 minutes in the morning to think about what you want to do, well, that's what we call being intentional. Well, so how do I live with that? And people say, Allyson, are you really totally organized? And have you got all that time management stuff just under wraps? And I say, nope, sure don't. It was only last Thursday that I drove down and had an opportunity to speak to the Arkansas Hospital Association. And the day before, on Wednesday, when I knew I had this class, I finally decided to print the handouts. And luckily, there were only 4 pages in the handouts. And so if we're talking about intentional and making conscious decisions, one of the things that I should have made is a conscious decision to print these handouts out sooner than the day before the class. So the very first piece of the handout is this page. It's called the unfinished task page. And it's interesting that when I was teaching this class, people want to understand what time management is about, that I have them fill out a to-do list. You know, what is it that you really want to do today or in the next couple of days? And so they were filling out their unfinished work tasks and going through that. And it's interesting, to-do lists are important to have, but they're not the end all, because when you look at your to-do list, I like to ask people, can they really do them? You know, can they take action on these things? Can they mark something off within 2 seconds to 20 minutes? And so a lot of the things that we see on people's to-do lists are actually projects. Because we were teaching to a marketing and PR department, many of them had said, I need to start the marketing campaign for, the end of the year. Well, that's not really a to-do, that's really a project. And so when people wrote down 10 things, really the only things I could do in a single day might be 3 or 4 things. And something you can do is like what I'm doing now is shooting a vlog. So that's an action. Well, I printed off 47 copies of the unfinished task worksheet. You can also find these on our website, but they're part of the handout. And then once I had people understand what their unfinished tasks were, I've printed out probably the most popular worksheet on our website, which is the Prioritize worksheet. And this worksheet has words on it like love and faith and change, philanthropy, authenticity, compassion, joy, growing, adventure, peace. And I have people take this piece of paper, and there's an entire video on how to use this priorities worksheet, but to take a few minutes just to realize what's most important to them. And then to use this list of things that are important to them as a filter so that they can know what's really important to do and what's not. So I'd printed off 47 of these, and that was great, and we had a wonderful time going through that. And then the next sheet that I went and was teaching them was a worksheet that I think is really important. There are 4 squares on this piece, and again, today we're talking about being intentional and making conscious choices. Well, it's hard to be intentional if you're not sure what the answer to the questions are. So we call this the highest and best. Again, you can go to the tools page and download it. But the 4 quadrants say this: what I love to do at work. And it asks you to write down 10 things. Are you intentionally doing the things you love to do at work? Because if you don't know what they are, how can you be intentional about doing them? The next quadrant is my strengths include. And for me, some of the strengths that I have or that I really love learning, and I like reading, and I like talking to people who are way smarter than I am. And I find that I do a good job writing and teaching and sharing ideas. So these are the things that I like to do. So we worked through this worksheet. I had 47 of them. And as I was printing this off the day before the workshop, I had set the printer for 47. And so I walked in and thought I'd print 47 of these. Well, the reality is I did not print 47 of them. I printed this many of them. Yes, these are all the same sheet of paper. And I now have more than a ream of pieces of your highest and best worksheets. And you say, well, Allyson, how did that happen? Well, I was very intentional about sending 47 pages to my LaserJet printer, but I was not intentional about paying attention as to what was coming out. And so my printer just kept printing and printing and printing, and finally I went in there and looked, and it was all the same page. So this is what I got out of the printer. And it made a great lesson for me. One, I needed to start working on the projects more than the day before. And second, as all this was printing out, I actually saw it. I saw it filling up the paper bin. I saw it coming out. And that's how life is. I see things happening all around me. They fill up my life. And I finally step back and pull it out of the printer, out of the paper tray, or out of my life, and I see, wow, I've been doing the same thing over and over and over again. And here's the thing. I don't need all these pages. It's an important thing, but I wasted a lot of time, a lot of energy, and a lot of paper printing off something that was not intentionally meant to happen. So what's the point of today's video? The point of today's video is that a very short period of time is all we have in a day. There are 24 hours in the day, 1,440 minutes. How different would it have been if I just took 7 minutes to print out the 47 pages rather than to walk away and not pay any attention? So here at the 7-Minute Life, I want to encourage you, don't walk away. Don't walk away from what's important. Don't let life just be on autopilot. Don't wake up and walk back into whatever it was that you were doing and find that it was wasted. The 7-Minute Life is a time management company, but it's about a time management so you'll have time to live a meaningful life, not a life of wasted and lost effort. I'm really glad that you're here, and I hope you'll tell your friends. The key to sharing this message is to make sure that you subscribe to the YouTube channel. I also want you to go over to the 7-Minute Life and subscribe to our page. We want you to like our Facebook page. And I think it's really important that you share these videos with all of your friends, because I know that people just like me struggle with finding things, walking back in, not paying attention, and finding time wasted. So today we're talking about being intentional, paying attention, thinking, and making conscious choices. Your life will be better, and I think my life will be better too. Welcome to the 7-Minute Life. I hope to see you next week.